I discovered my wife's affair after 31 years of marriage. Gathering evidence, I secretly prepared for divorce, secured my assets, and exposed her. I work as a primary school teacher, so my schedule is very stable. I have regular hours at school, and Tuesday afternoons are earmarked for staff meetings, which usually last until 6 p.m. As a result, I was generally home by 7 p.m. Terry, my wife of 31 years, was frequently exhausted on Tuesday evenings from her gym routines. So I frequently took the initiative to make dinner while she washed and took care of other household chores. I work as a primary school teacher, so my schedule is very stable. I have regular hours at school, and Tuesday afternoons are earmarked for staff meetings, which usually last until 6 p.m. As a result, I was generally home by 7 p.m. Terry, my wife of 31 years, was frequently exhausted on Tuesday evenings from her gym routines. So I frequently took the initiative to make dinner while she washed and took care of other household chores. However, one day, our school principal shocked us by canceling the staff meeting. It was still just 3:30 p.m., so I decided to leave early and get a jump start on supper preparations. Before Terry returned from the gym, I planned to finish up some last-minute domestic duties. I had sensed her becoming more distant recently, and I hoped that a candlelight meal and a calm setting, devoid of the regular domestic procedures, would reignite our intimacy and passion. Our marriage had been going through a difficult period, often centered on money difficulties. Terry grew increasingly distant from me. She appeared to want greater control over many elements of our lives and would become obstinate and angry when things didn't go her way. Despite these problems, I considered myself a patient man. That day, I arrived home like any other day, parking in our garage, which was fairly far from our house. When our children were little, we positioned the garage in this location to guarantee that car noises did not disturb their sleep. Their sleep was vital not only for their health, but also for our sanity. It offered us some quiet time to refuel as they slept peacefully. So I parked and took my customary walk up to our 2-story home. Terry's car was in the garage, but it was a familiar sight on her workout days because she preferred to take the bus to the gym. As I approached the rear door, my first thought was that it was time to clean up the area. I was good at fixing things around the house, so all of the door hinges and moving parts were in good working order and made no noise. Nothing bothered us more than noisy doors and squeaky hinges. However, the first thing I noticed was Terry's purse, which was still sitting on the kitchen counter. I knew she'd be upset by it. Terry was diligent about having her purse close by no matter where she was in the home. This surprising sight diverted my attention, and I started noticing other unique things. Her exercise clothes, mostly a snug leotard and a large towel, sat on the floor beside the kitchen counter. Then I heard sounds from our upstairs bedroom. I considered the likelihood that Terry had fallen ill unexpectedly and was upstairs. I walked the carpeted stairs slowly and softly, almost stumbling over a pair of men's shoes left on the steps. Those shoes were certainly not mine, nor were the slacks, shirt, tank top, and socks sprawled across the rest of the stairs. They were mixed in with Terry's undergarments, which she reserved for special occasions such as our wedding anniversaries. I came to a standstill. My skin became clammy, and my blood pressure dropped, causing my heart to temporarily skip a beat. I had to sit down on the stairs to gather my thoughts. My disbelief evolved to anger, and feeling I rarely experience. As a result of years of handling 30 children every day as a teacher, I am usually calm and controlled. But now, that calmness has escaped me. Adrenaline rushed through my veins, and I felt angry like never before. I'd never even participated in a real fight. These sentiments were completely unfamiliar to me. In the midst of these weird feelings, curiosity pushed me to slowly climb the stairs and enter our shared closet. There were 2 doors in front of me, one leading to the bedroom and the other to the upstairs bathroom. To get to the bedroom, I had to go through the ensuite bathroom, which led to our large walk-in wardrobe. From there, I could get into our bedroom. At the wardrobe door leading to the bedroom, I could see what was beyond. The closet door was slightly open and positioned perfectly for me to see the bed. It was like watching a horror movie, and I couldn't take my gaze away. I'd been hearing those moans and grunts all along, but now I was overcome with a powerful combination of rage and shock. I grabbed my phone and began documenting what I was watching. I knew I'd need this footage later, to persuade myself that it was all genuine and that I wasn't stuck in some terrible nightmare. It would provide evidence for the upcoming encounter with Terry. My attention was riveted on the awful spectacle of treachery unfolding in front of me. This was my wife, my lover, my life partner, and someone I had put my complete trust in. She was our adult children's mother, a woman in her 40s who worked out, did humanitarian work, and most importantly, expressed her love for me. This was betrayal in its most basic form. I had to stop recording and silently go down the stairs. I left our property and began strolling, unsure where I was going. But finally, I found myself in a park far from home. I sprayed water on my face, sat down, and watched the video on my phone. To avoid disturbing the youngsters playing nearby, I turned down the volume. The devastation of my life and all I had come to accept as normal was right there on my phone screen, preserved in digital reality. It was the devastation of our marriage. And it was at that point that I finally allowed my tears to fall. Update. It was around 7 p.m., which is when I usually come after staff meetings. I found myself at home, standing by the back door. Terry realized something was wrong right away. My unkempt appearance, red eyes, and pale complexion were obvious symptoms. She inquired with genuine concern. "Honey, what's wrong? You look really pale. Is everything all right? I'll get you a drink. Are you okay?" Her eyes expressed her concern. I couldn't bring myself to tell her the true reason for my concern. In a weak voice I said, "Not really. Something upset my stomach, possibly lunch. I'm taking a shower and going to bed." Terry replied, "Okay, hon, but take a container with you to bed. If you puke, it might be on the nice clean sheets." Those once clean blankets were now stained with something far worse than last night's dinner. Treachery. I said more forcefully, "It's okay, I'll sleep in the spare room until I feel better." And proceeded to the extra downstairs bedroom. That was how things went for the next few days. Terry continued her customary routine, seemingly unconcerned about my discomfort. I was on autopilot at work, and I kept sleeping in the spare bedroom, citing the possibility of illness. I knew I couldn't make that excuse for long. I eventually returned to our bedroom, but resting in that location of betrayal was a challenge. Terry continued as if nothing had changed. When Monday arrived, I decided what to do next. I needed to know if this was a continuing affair or a one-time occurrence. I informed my principal that I would be undergoing an unexpected medical operation the next day, and he scheduled a replacement teacher to take my class. Tuesday morning, I went home as normal, but parked a few blocks away from our area before walking back. I recognized the rear entrances to the surrounding yards around our house. I walked cautiously, making sure no neighbors would see me, and made my way to our garage, which was located at the back of the home. There, I changed into casual clothes. Soft, noiseless socks perfect for walking quietly. Then it became a waiting game. I remembered there was no spare automobile at home when I unexpectedly returned last Tuesday. As a result, I couldn't rely on the sound of a car approaching to notify me to potential visitors. They must have walked here. I moved carefully through our gardens until I reached a point where I could see our front door while keeping hidden behind the hedges and shrubs we had placed for cover from the road. I waited. Terry could be heard going about her daily routine, entirely unconscious of my presence. Her assurance that the routine will continue as usual was clear. Kitchen responsibilities, such as washing dishes and using the dishwasher, were followed by living room activities such as vacuuming and dusting. This lasted until about 11:30. Terry then went upstairs. I could just hear the shower, then a period of silence, and then the toilet flushing. She returned downstairs approximately 45 minutes later, opened the front door, and kept it open so that any potential visitors would not hesitate. I did not have to wait long. Around 12:30, he arrived. I had no idea who he was, but he walked in through the left side of our front gate. My phone captured approximately 10 seconds of video, including side profiles and an almost direct view of his face. He did not hesitate. He entered and passed through the door. The following sentences sent shivers down my spine. "Hey lover. I hope you're dressed for a big workout again." Terry's reaction was, "Of course. You always love it when I wear these. I sometimes wonder if it was these that attracted you to me in the first place. Or maybe it was these." I'd seen enough to corroborate the ongoing affair. Their familiarity suggested that it was not a one-off. As they entered the bedroom, I withdrew to the garage, attempting to calm myself. With my heart beating, I wrestled with the scorching questions. Who is this man? I questioned whether I would ever have an intimate relationship with her. I observed no indicators of protection, which made me concerned about potential threats if she was with others. I wondered why she never expressed her feelings. I remembered Terry's 2-year gym workouts in the neighborhood, where she met local married women and participated in charity events. Perhaps the gym contained solutions to our problems. Update 1. As a teacher, I had access to computers, printers, and other materials. I decided to start my research by printing profile photographs from my phone film to see who was involved. Maybe that would eventually lead me to the location and time of the incident. It was easy to figure out who the who was. Terry had her normal gym session the following Thursday, and I proposed that I join her to see whether I would want to become a member as well, especially since I was taking a midterm break. Terry wasn't too keen on the idea and made excuses like, "It's just a group of married ladies, and we mostly chat during the session," among other lame justifications. I persevered and accompanied her to the gym the following Thursday. As I stepped into the gym, it felt like a scene from an old Western film, with everyone turning to gaze when a stranger enters the saloon. All eyes were on me, and I overheard some quiet comments among the women. Terry dismissed it, noting that they were not used to seeing her with someone during her regular gym sessions. The workout began with the standard warm-ups and stretching, followed by an hour and a half of moving between exercise stations to target various muscle groups. I attempted to stay up, but I needed to take a break around 45 minutes in. My blood sugar was plummeting, and I realized I needed to eat something sweet soon. I did that, and Terry understood. After collecting some jelly beans and settling on a nearby chair, I started paying more attention to Terry. She was clearly nervous, as she repeatedly glanced toward the staff section from where the instructors entered the main auditorium. I also looked closely at the gym itself. It had the standard architecture of a gym, with workout stations placed across the room and wall mirrors at each station to allow participants to examine their form and muscle definition. I decided to go around the gym a little more and discovered a wall near the hall exit with personnel information. It was a way to pass the time as we waited for Terry. I looked at the top photo, which showed a woman who appeared to be in good form but whose age was difficult to discern. I thought to myself, Miss Elizabeth, W.S. Director and owner. Her contact information and hours of availability were listed underneath her photo. There were 3 more images below hers. 2 ladies and 1 man. At this time, I froze, understanding he was Terry's lover. This man was involved with my wife, and it appeared that he had her full consent. I read his job description, Mr. Phillip, head of exercise regime planning and personal body training. As I made a mental note of his phone number, I realized Terry had left the station where I had last seen her. I returned to my seat and thoroughly studied each station, looking for my wife. After some searching, I saw her engaged in what appeared to be a desperate conversation with a man partially concealed by some powerlifting equipment. He appeared to be near the entrance to the staff area and had evidently been stopped from entering, most likely by Terry. She motioned for him to leave and rushed back to the station where she was meant to be. She had not realized I had witnessed her absence and talk. I was furious, an emotion I was not used to. By the time Terry returned to my location, it was clear that I was not feeling well. She inquired, "Are you okay? Did it take a while for your blood sugar to recover?" I responded, "Yeah, I'm fine now. Are you ready to go?" Before she could react, Miss W.S. announced something over the gym's public address system. She stated that tonight's normal last workout session will be cancelled due to Mr. Bondi's untimely illness and departure. Most of the women there groaned and sighed at this news, since it appeared that Mr. Bondi's session had been a highlight for many. I thought to myself, this needs to be investigated. Terry stayed mute when the announcement was made, although she appeared relieved. Terry swiftly remarked, "Let's go," as she retrieved her towel and handbag from the spot where everyone kept their items during the workout. We were about to leave when one of the females, whom I didn't recognize, approached Terry. "It's such a shame that Phil couldn't finish the session as usual tonight," she told me. Terry said, "True," and headed toward the car, plainly signaling to the lady that she did not want to discuss it at that time. "Okay, see you, Terry," she murmured dismissively. Terry entered the automobile faster than I'd ever seen her do before. Terry appeared relaxed during the quiet ride home. She had her head thrown back, her eyes closed, and appeared to be purposefully taking slow breaths. I couldn't help but notice the changes in her conduct. Perhaps now, in her seeming relief, I could discover more about what was going on. "So that was quite an interesting session, dear, I told you. The workout stations seem to be set up really well. No wonder you're looking so fit and trim." "Thanks, honey," she said. "You're absolutely right. They offer an extensive program, and I enjoy going there. The ladies are friendly too. It's just a shame about Mr. Bonte," I prodded on. "You mean Boney?" She made a hasty correction. Philip Boney. He usually wraps up every session with an exercise routine that really challenges everyone, pushing their bodies to the limit. It was disappointing that he wasn't there tonight. Inside, I couldn't help but think, she's completely committed to this lie. I understood precisely how far Mr. Bondi was pushing her body, but all I said was, maybe next Thursday he'll be feeling better. I couldn't stop thinking about my wife's approaching intimate rendezvous with Mr. Bondi next Thursday. It was time to get down to business. I was assigned pickup duties for the following school week. For those unaware, This is when teachers supervise the area where parents pick up their children by car after school. It's usually a chaotic scene, with youngsters anxious to get home, talk to their pals, and find their parents all at once. Parents must be patient as they traverse the stop-and-go car queue, hoping their child will be ready when they get at the front. To my astonishment, near the end of pickup time, a car arrived, and the driver was the lady who had attempted to speak with Terry at the gym the night before. "Hi," she told me. "I'm sorry, but I'm new to this whole pickup thing, and I completely lost track of time. Is my son Timothy here?" As teachers, we are accustomed to this, especially when someone is new to the school. So I assured her that I would go find Timothy while my colleagues oversaw the remaining students. I found Timothy near his classroom, conversing with another staff member's youngster. "Hey, Tim," I said. "Your mom's here to pick you up. Come with me to the pickup area." He appeared puzzled by this. He was in his final year of primary school and did not strike me as the kind to forget about pickups. "That's odd," he said. "Mom is usually occupied with her gym instructor on Friday afternoons. She often picks me up late. At my previous school, she sometimes didn't arrive until around 5:30. My suspicions were deeper the instant I heard the gym instructor's words. I resumed the talk, attempting to remain composed and casual. "Ah, it's good to see your mom taking care of her health. Exercise is a crucial part of a healthy lifestyle. Do you happen to know the instructor's name?" I hoped the remark did not confirm my suspicions. "Oh, his name is Bounty or something like that," Timothy explained. "He also works at a local gym and often gives private lessons at people's homes. That's what I want to do when I grow up. Mom really enjoys her workouts with him on Friday evenings. She's so relaxed and looks radiant by the time we get home. It's fantastic. Fridays are always takeout nights because Mom rarely has time to cook." No way, I thought. This Bondi guy has relationships with more people than simply my wife. I walked Timothy back to his car, where his mother expressed her appreciation for our attention. "No problem," I replied. "It's all part of the service. By the way, I don't believe we've met before. I'm Gerard D.S. The kids call me Mr. D for short. Nice to meet you." I shook her hand and she introduced herself. "Hi, I'm Mary Jones. I remember seeing you at the gym last Thursday. I was there with my wife Terry. Sorry, she seemed rushed when leaving." Mr. Bondi's absence seemed to disrupt everyone's routine that night. At that point, her entire mood shifted radically. She had previously been an apologetic parent picking up her child from school, but she now appeared pale and guarded. She appeared to be trembling as she answered. Yes. All right, I'll see you again, Mr. Downs. Goodbye," and hurriedly drove away. Update 2. It was time to plan my future, something I assumed I had already done with my then partner, Terry. This future seemed grim, with only me and possibly no one else. Definitely not Terry. My rage drove me down a path I never imagined, the path of vengeance. I began methodically reviewing all of the important but frequently missed components of a couple's daily lives. Questions like, who is responsible for paying the bills? What insurance company do we use? What are our utility bills? Which account and when do we pay certain bills? As my database of this information grew, I realized we only had a little amount left to pay on our mortgage. My superannuation account had risen to an astonishing $900,000. I couldn't help but be grateful to our teachers' union for insisting on mandatory super contributions as part of a teacher's fundamental employment conditions. After performing extensive online study without Terry's knowledge, I regrettably concluded that there was no way around the fact that we would have to share all of our assets equally. Our kids were now financially independent. We did have a considerable sum saved in a cash account, approximately $30,000, for an upcoming abroad trip. Unfortunately, the vacation was no longer on the agenda. My first step would be to deplete that account as quickly as possible before Terry discovered that I had exposed her deception. I surreptitiously caused many household appliances to malfunction. When Terry was not home, I would occasionally disconnect a wire. Then I'd claim that Mr. So-and-so had arrived to fix the specific equipment, charging a certain amount in cash that was somewhat less than his advertised fee. I would covertly save this money and then repair the appliance myself. Using this strategy, I was able to save approximately $20,000. I also bought tools and such, always paying in cash. I showed them to Terry and returned them the following day for a monetary refund. I agree it was deceptive, but Terry's actions had already damaged our relationship's principles of honesty and trustworthiness. The whole circumstance was making me into someone I never imagined I could be. A liar. Terry's Thursday afternoon exercises with Bondi continued, and I stopped attempting to have any type of sexual relationship with her. We simply coexisted like two housemates would. My personal possessions gradually disappeared into the garage's crates. Terry rarely went into the garage, so she didn't notice the rearranging. Her car was usually parked in front of it, and she was satisfied to leave the garage as my personal zone. However, she did challenge the absence of some of my personal goods from the shelf on one occasion. I kept postponing an explanation, claiming that I had accidentally broken things or that they were no longer useful. Terry was fine with these comments, primarily because the majority of my items did not match her intended color scheme or the room's desired vibe. When I emptied out the majority of my belongings in this fashion, the atmosphere in the house remained quite unchanged. It made me realize how much I had succumbed to Terry's control in many parts of our relationship. I took as much of my superannuation as I could and bought a tiny property on the town's outskirts. It was really small, with only 2 bedrooms and a tiny yard, but it did have a garage and was conveniently placed near my school. What made it even better was that the remaining mortgage debt allowed me to comfortably make monthly payments on half of my wage. This was not a large mansion by any means. It's incredible how good a deal you can get if you're ready to sacrifice the draw of showy, busy areas. My separation preparations were begun. I gradually transported my own items to the new dwelling. Furniture was not a problem because I could easily find used or pre-owned items at thrift stores. It seemed as if my existence had been pre-loved, once adored but now forgotten, with no value other than charity. It was time for everyone engaged to get their just rewards. I reconnected with Mary Jones after she contacted me during a school pickup. I was alone with her kid Timothy, waiting for her. When she arrived, she appeared disturbed. Her eyes indicated recent tears. As a teacher, I was educated to pick up on these indications and provide insight into my students' lives and challenges. "Mr. D, can I talk to you for a minute?" she inquired urgently. "Of course. Since no one else is arriving, just stay parked there and come over to my usual spot," I told him. I referred to the seats surrounding the school as my workplace. She parked her car, Timothy played with his soccer ball, and we sat on the bench near the pickup area. "I'm not sure how to begin what I need to tell you," she told me. "I'm uncertain about how much you know regarding the gym you saw." I looked at her closely and responded hesitantly. "I know Terry, my wife, enjoys going there, and it has helped her stay fit and active." She paused, evidently straining to speak, before continuing. "There are some things you should know about what happens there." To get to the subject quickly, I said, "Is it related to Philip Bonte?" She reacted angrily. "You have no idea how much it involves that pig." I replied, "I might have an idea, but please go ahead and tell me." She firmly stated, "He's a player, targeting many of the regular women there." When I inquired how she knew, she said, with tears in her eyes, "I was one of them until last week. We met every Friday at 12:30. She halted and looked up, as if remembering those memories. I too looked away, remembering those sessions, though not fondly. She apologized. "I'm sorry for sharing this. I genuinely enjoyed what he was doing to me while it lasted. It was only when he had someone else taking my place during that time that he abruptly ended it, offering no explanation, just, 'Sorry, no more.' I honestly thought we might have a future. I'm divorced, and I miss the regular tenderness of a married relationship, so I was delighted to have it again, this time with him. I couldn't have been more wrong." Her candor stunned me. How could she believe it was appropriate to share all of this with me? She must be quite upset. To provide some comfort, I said swiftly, "Marriage relationships aren't always what they seem." She looked at my face and saw the sorrow and anguish in my expression. "You already know, don't you?" she inquired, gently shaking her head in surprise. "You already know that he's been involved with Terry, your wife." I was honest. "Yes, I knew, Mary. Thank you for sharing this." Though I attempted to hide my animosity, I added, "But I've already set things in motion regarding the whole situation. I genuinely believe in karma, and I think it might catch up with him soon." "That guy has to face the consequences," Mary nearly yelled. "He doesn't care who he hurts or how, as long as he satisfies his sexual ego and has something to brag about to his bar pals. Just let me know if you need my help getting back at him. That person needs to pay, and he should pay dearly." She summoned her son and left. I sat there deep in thought for quite some time. Update 3: I felt relieved when Mary told me her story. For a while, my revenge plot felt like bitter grapes, arising from my inability to save my marriage, but I realized it required more thought. I began to wonder how many other ladies he was involved at the gym. It was time to collect concrete evidence. I couldn't help but be impressed by the man's stamina, but I guess even the devil never tires. I discovered that he worked at the gym every day except for Mondays, when it was closed. I remembered the phone number printed on the gym's wall and used the telecom's white pages to trace it back to an address that was only 3 blocks away from ours. It explained how that rascal could easily go over to our house and engage in relations with my soon-to-be ex-wife. I informed Terry that I would be going for a stroll every day around 5 p.m., claiming that my expert had advised it. Fortunately, Terry had no desire to accompany me, and she understood it wouldn't interfere with her liaisons, so everything went nicely. During my first nighttime walk, I went straight to Bonte's home and discovered that he lived in a ground-floor apartment among several other identical units. His car was missing, so I remained close to await his return. He consistently left our house before 6 o'clock, so he was likely to arrive around that time. As usual, he entered his apartment shortly before 6 o'clock. This happened every day I was able to go for a walk, with the exception of my staff meeting day, when I couldn't. I suspected he did this every day the gym was open. Did he meet up with a different woman on each of these days? I hope to find out by gradually beginning my walks earlier to track his everyday movements. I decided to take a whole week off from school for this very reason. I went to an electronics store and bought the appropriate equipment, which included an inconspicuous long-range listening device, not the one that looks like a satellite dish. I also purchased 5 voice and motion-actuated cameras with full-color HD capabilities. To guarantee that I had ample storage space for digital evidence, I purchased an additional portable hard drive for my computer. After buying these materials on Monday, I set up one of the cameras in Bondi's flat. Fortunately, his place wasn't extremely large, more of a one-bedroom apartment with a huge living and kitchen dining area, and one camera was plenty to capture everything but his bedroom. It was easy to get it inside his bedroom. I just waited for him to go to the gym before retrieving his apartment keys from where he had carelessly placed them beneath the doormat. He could not have been less imaginative. After checking that the camera worked properly, I left. Now, if he moved or made a sound in his apartment, the camera, which had a microphone, would activate and live stream both video and audio to my computer, where it was safely archived with date stamps. It resumed running as soon as Bondi arrived home on Monday night, recording clear images of him eating takeaway in front of his television before going to bed at 9 p.m. On Tuesday, I waited until the gym closed before entering through the back door, which is frequently ignored during pre-closing inspections at most establishments. Fortunately, I had luck on my side. I cleverly positioned the next camera in the private room at the back, where clients typically receive personal health assessments. This was the same room where Bondi regularly met with his private clientele. I couldn't help but wonder what kind of person I had become, installing cameras in other people's homes, essentially snooping. I was curious where this would lead. When Terry left for groceries on Wednesday, I took advantage of the chance and surreptitiously installed the 3rd and 4th cameras in our bedroom and living area. After analyzing the footage from Tuesday, I was both startled and unsurprised by what I saw and heard given the circumstances. Bondi awoke and quickly went, only to return later with food. I couldn't help but think, this lazy guy can't even make his own breakfast. He stayed at home until the gym opened, then departed around 10:30. During this moment he placed an unusual phone call. "Hi, Julie. It's Phil. Is he gone yet?" Pause. "Okay, I'll see you at 12:30 at your apartment. Make sure you wear what I mentioned." "No, I'll be careful. Nobody will notice me entering your space." "Did you say he was leaving for 3 days?" "Okay, maybe I can come on Thursday and Friday as well. We'll talk this afternoon, love." After that, he hung up the phone and left with a visible spring in his step. I could not help but wonder how he intended to explain this to Terry. On Thursday, I set up shop in the garage with my computer, excitedly anticipating the upcoming events. Almost instantly, Bondi's camera feed flashed on my screen. He'd gotten up, gone out for breakfast, then returned to make a phone call. He dialed Terry's phone, and the camera captured her part of the discussion as well. "Hi, this is Phil. How does my favorite slut feel today?" "Phil, stop talking like that on the phone. You never know who might be listening. Fortunately, my husband has gone to work. I'll see you at 12:30, as usual." Update 4. Mary, the mom from school, appeared eager to assist in any way she could. So I instructed her to construct a list of ladies with whom the scoundrel was currently or had previously been associated. She approached this assignment enthusiastically, and within a week, she had names and addresses. Terry's name appeared on that list, which surprised and disappointed me. By this point, I had almost severed all ties with her house, which had lost its emotional worth and had become merely a place to live. Terry did mention once that it felt awfully empty lately. I just stated that I was diligently decluttering my possessions. She accepted the explanation because it did not damage her goods and also gave her extra space. I'd also transferred the garage goods to my new home. To finish my escape, I simply needed 20 minutes to pack my possessions and drive away in my car. I met with a divorce attorney, and all of the necessary divorce documents were completed and ready to be served right away. The financial details were worked out. Our vacation savings were fully depleted, and the cash were moved to my personal bank account. I kept all of the bogus purchase receipts properly filed in a folder in case they were needed as proof. I changed the beneficiaries of my superannuation fund to our children and took any remaining cash. I opened separate bank accounts, credit cards, and insurance policies in my name only. The car, including registration and insurance, was moved wholly into her name, leaving her fully accountable for it from now on. Unfortunately, I had little authority over the house and had to rely on the court's choices. I bought a new phone, registered it under my name only, and made sure it had an unlisted number. The old phone was deactivated. I put together a packet of information for each husband or partner of the women identified by Mary. Each packet contained information regarding when and where the scoundrel had been involved with their partners. It also included his name and address. Additionally, I shared the address of our town's sexual health clinic, as it appeared that the majority of these interactions were unprotected. I wrote a comprehensive letter to the gym's owner, proposing that this was a good moment to have a serious discussion with her head teacher. I left the divorce papers on our kitchen table, along with printed images from that scoundrel and Terry's video surveillance and DVDs of their rendezvous. I placed my wedding ring next to this package, which had been split in half and was covered in horrible chemicals. The accompanying note stated, "Terry, I left you this ruined ring, covered in the same mess that represented what happened to our marriage. Please do not contact me unless it is through the attorney listed in the divorce papers. I have requested that the school block your access to the school premises, so please avoid attempting to reach me there. Causing disturbances on school grounds can result in immediate police action. I've also informed our children about my actions to avoid confusion about why this separation occurred. I've sent copies of the DVDs to them so there can be no false narratives about who initiated the separation." Final update. I drove to my new house and waited for the full extent of the fallout. The local newspapers discovered a scandal at a nearby gym. The proprietor had no choice but to close his firm and leave town. Meanwhile, a former gym instructor was found in a downtown back alley. He was alleged to have been assaulted by an unidentified group of male attackers. A rapid influx of divorce petitions inundated the local court, and several homes were listed for sale. Terry returned home that fateful day, discovered my farewell gifts, and immediately fainted. A neighbor overheard her screams and saw her collapse. Our astute 70-year-old neighbor quickly figured out why Terry had fainted. She immediately contacted emergency services before leaving her house, leaving the door open. Terry attempted to call me but was unable on any of our phones. She even attempted to visit the school, which led to her incarceration. After spending the night in the holding cell and receiving a stern warning from a magistrate, her attempts to contact me dropped significantly. Our children were outspoken in their criticism of her evident cheating. Fortunately, they were both married and had inherited my more ethical views on fidelity, rather than Terry's. The divorce processes were concluded, and the outstanding financial concerns were addressed in accordance with the regular procedure. Terry had to sell the house, and the funds enabled her to buy a smaller property in the outskirts, where she now lives alone. The stigma of being labeled as one of the notorious gym sluts never left her. When she went uptown, she received many sidelong glances and whispered snickers. Her melancholy as a result of this rejection and embarrassment forced her to seek treatment in a psychiatric hospital. As for me, I continued my teaching career while living happily in my new home. Thank you for watching. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so and hit the notification bell to stay updated with more shocking real-life stories happening around you.